Good morning, everyone. Aaron here. Jesus tells his disciples this morning that the way to find our life is to lose it and to pick up our cross and follow him. We also meet a saint who gave away his whole fortune and never held anything back, trusting God to provide the rest. For those of you looking for our traditional Catholic prayers, the link is in the description, and I'll drop it on screen at the end of this video. In our Friday morning gospel from Matthew chapter 16, we hear Jesus speaking to his disciples, and he does not soften it. Whoever wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. What profit would there be for one to gain the whole world and forfeit his life? Or what can one give in exchange for his life? The disciples are standing close to him when he says this. These are men who left their nets and their families and their whole ordinary lives to walk behind him. And now he is telling them the road only gets steeper from here. When he says, take up your cross, that is not merely an idea to them. They have seen what a cross is. And still, he asks them to pick one up and follow. And here's where it might meet us this morning, because the cross we are asked to carry in our ordinary day is smaller and quieter, and maybe even harder to notice. Maybe it is staying patient with someone when everything in us wants to snap, or doing the right thing at work when it would be easier not to, especially when no one would ever know, or letting go of being right in an argument with someone we love. These are all little sacrifices. Nobody sees them, and there's no applause. And Jesus says, that is exactly where life is found. That is the part that turns everything over. We spend so much energy trying to hold on to our lives, to protect our comfort and our time and our sense of being in control. And he tells us plainly that the grip itself is the problem. The tighter we clutch, the more it slips away. What profit would there be for one to gain the whole world and forfeit his life? Perhaps that question is not meant for someone else across the room, but for the quiet places in us where we trade something real for something that will not last. Then he says something that widens the picture. For the Son of Man will come with his angels in his Father's glory, and then he will repay each according to his conduct. Amen, I say to you, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. The kingdom shows up for us this morning in the small surrender we almost talked ourselves out of. In the quiet moment, we chose the harder love. So maybe the invitation today is not to go looking for some great sacrifice, but just to notice the one small cross that is already in front of us, the one we would rather avoid, and to pick it up, not because it is impressive, but because that is where he is, and that is where he said we would find our life. He is not asking us to do it alone, because he walked this road first, all the way to the end. And he is walking it with us now. We just need to take the next step. Now let's turn to today's memorial. Saint Cajetan was born in October of 1480 in Vicenza, Italy, the second son of noble and devout parents who dedicated him as a baby to the Blessed Virgin Mary. A sharp student, he studied law in Padua and was offered good positions in government, and he turned them down. He left his hometown and went to Rome hoping to disappear into a quiet religious life. But he was found out and pushed at 28 into a post at the court of Pope Julius II and ordained a priest at 36. Then his life took the turn that made him who he was. When Pope Julius died, Cajetan went back home and joined the confraternity of St. Jerome, a group whose members came from the poorest classes in the town. His relatives weren't happy. They thought it embarrassed the family, but he did it anyway. He went looking for the sick and the poor and served them, spending his whole fortune building hospitals and nursing people dying of the plague with his own hands. He founded a fund for the poor so they would not have to go to loan sharks to survive. The little fund eventually grew into the Bank of Naples, though it was nothing like a bank when he started it. It was just a way to keep desperate people from being crushed. He looked at the church of his day and saw the clergy had grown cold, and he decided the way to fix that was to warm the priests back up. So in Rome, with 3 friends, one of whom would later become Pope Paul IV, he founded a new congregation called the Theatines. They gave themselves to preaching and to the sacraments, celebrating the church's worship with real care. Cajetan was the first to introduce the 40 hours adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. When soldiers sacked Rome, they seized him and beat him to make him hand over money, not understanding that there was no money left. He had already given it all away years before. Underneath all of it was his love for the Blessed Mother. Tradition holds that one Christmas Eve she appeared to him and laid the infant Jesus in his arms. The same tradition says that when he lay dying, resigned to God's will, she came to him again, surrounded by angels. He asked for her blessing, and she answered that he should receive the blessing of her son instead, telling him she had come as a reward for the honesty of his love and that she would lead him to paradise. She told him to be patient with his illness, and she called the angels to carry his soul home, telling him that her son was calling him and that they should go in peace. He died in Naples in 1547. Saint Cajetan, you gave everything you had and kept nothing back, trusting that God would provide what you could not. Pray for those looking for work, for everyone weighed down by worry over money, and for all of us who hold too tightly to what we own. Teach us to give the way you gave. Amen. 2 men this morning and 1 road between them. Jesus says the grip itself is the problem, that we lose our life by clutching it and find it by letting go. And Kajaton lived that fully, giving away his whole fortune and keeping nothing back. He never went looking for some great and famous cross, just kept picking up the small one right in front of him. The sick nobody wanted. The poor the loan sharks were circling, and found his life there. Click the link in the center of the screen now for today's Catholic morning prayers, and I'll see you there. Share your intentions in the comments below, and be sure to share this video with someone you love. God bless.